afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from me, host Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero of Psych, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to an exciting 1 vs 1 on Semoisky with a slightly shorter intro now. 20 seconds, again, thanks to Moaning, aka Screaming Mini, aka whatever Mini is apparently doing, which involves, sending out loud noises. We've got here CoH2 fighting in the north, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, the 285th Infantry Division with mobile defense, lightning war, and elite troops with triple Panzergrenadier bulletins. Versus in the south, you got S205 with Vanguard operations, special weapons, and rolling gear with triple infantry. Note, this is an actual person, not an AI. Some people like to name themselves after AI, some make it obvious, but I was like this, here. Put it like this, and apparently I have to explain it because some people generally think I'm actually casting an AI, but no, this is an actual human being. Just to further again, human being. We got Grenadier MG42 here for CoH2, triple section there for S205. Note the name Grenadier came from after the losses of Stalingrad, where there was sort of basically a huge series of reorganizations, and German infantry, which was basically just known as Infantry, was redesignated as Grenadiers, which were basically sort of a elite unit from before that time, usually sort of part of Napoleonic era armies. So that was sort of meant to be a morale booster, now no longer just infantry, they were grenadiers. Similarly, Panzergrenadiers came from the Schutzen, which was the name for motorized infantry, and that way became Panzergrenadiers. So sort of a lot of series of name changes there, along with other changes, which included overall limiting how much infantry each unit could have, and also how much tanks, for example, Panzer Division had. But double Grenadiers, MG42 here for CoH2, triple section there still for S205, noting he's sort of focusing on the eastern half of the map. He's also not going straight for the fuel here, or possibly planning for the fuel here, but either way, not the best start there, I feel like, for the Wehrmacht on Semoisky. Generally, again, and I have to say it as many times because I'm actually beginning people sending in replays because I do replay reviews for like those who pledge on Patreon, or just send me a $5 donation, by the way, but get them asking, well, how do I play Semoisky better? Well, as usual, as I say on many episodes, go west. If you start in the north, go west. It has much better fields of fire, can thus be trapped in overall easily, so it just gives you a better option, but also a better option for attacking the village in the center. So as a rule of thumb, attack northwards, hook around there. Section versus Pioneers there. Grenadiers looks like going to sneak up behind here and maybe sort of get behind the section there. That's very good. MG40 giving away. Then we've got finally got some infantry heading northwards there towards the fuel there for CoH2. For S205, we got to take up there after 4 sections. Again, I am seeing an increase in British strategies which just involves getting an awful lot of infantry. It is surprisingly effective if you sort of handle it correctly and your opponent isn't sort of ready to respond. In particular, play it really aggressively. So far, S205 isn't quite getting as much sort of fire behind it as it could. We've got a Grenadier squad here flanking behind the section. Can't take case there versus them. Pioneers on the other side, and there you go. Poor Tommy there goes down, and then the Pioneers charge. Alright, Leute, let's show those Tommies what for. Haha, check that, you British Inschlafen. And there you go, S205 here caught off guard by a tactically solid move there by CoH2. Very deep flank, but overall paid off nicely there. And again, that's just what a good flank requires. A bit of extra time, but overall you get some made results. And again, the funny thing is, some players will actually just tell you they don't want to flank because it takes time. At that point, you sort of have to wonder, well, what are you playing a strategy game for if taking time is apparently a huge issue for you? It should be usually part of a tactical measure and strategic sort of evaluation. But anyways, double section pushed towards the fuel point, even as he's pushing with the southern one. Universal carrying away the S205 to support his troops here. He's, by the way, playing here for the 11th Armoured Division, taking on the dastardly Huns. That's the 285th here, is tasked with holding this river village against the advancing British. Pioneers sneaking about there, gaining reasonable control of the centre. We got a mortar out here, so triple Grenadiers, MG42 mortar, and double Pioneers for CPU. So that is a very heavy tier 1 versus the British. Very heavy tier 1. You generally don't see those. Telemark there, good spot. Almost got the southern fuel point. So overall, I mean, how this map is playing out in the normally, this is certainly not it. I mean, most players would not actually trying to go from here to there. They sort of tried to hold here and here, which is actually a bit weaker, but sort of tried to pull all the way down through there. I guess it works better, actually, but it's just not something you usually see. You got a Wasp here, not a pretty bad choice at all, but S205, and again, if most of the fighting's going to happen in the center, the Wasp is going to be absolutely amazing, because it's going to be tricky to deal with. In particular, since CPU easy for now, I think he's actually not taking up, meaning he actually doesn't have any other ways of catching except trying to get close to it with a Panzerfaust. And as long as S205 supports them with sections, it's going to be a bit tricky to get there. Grenadiers versus section, it looks like the Grenadiers are slowly winning up there versus S205 section, gunning them down in cold blood. Yeah, we did it, Helmut. Oh, Scheiße, they got Helmut. We did it, Wilfried. Ah, it's just you, Johann. I don't like you, to be fair. I got good Panzerfaust on the Wasp, but the Grenadiers are being rather liberally cut out in the open. They need to be careful. Quickly self-repairing here for 50 munitions with the crew repairs. And up north, there's section moving about here. So this is definitely not a usual Semoisky split at all, which I certainly would say makes this fight rather interesting. S205 following up with the armoured car. The AC armoured car, by the way, is really sort of winning back with the British. I feel like for some time they just didn't bother with it, but as people realise, it actually has A, utility, and B, is still kind of good versus infantry, and pretty tricky for the Germans to deal with. In particular, if you rush it out, which the British can still do quite efficiently. I mean, you can still get out the AC Mark III before German player can usually get out a 222 any sort of serious counters to it, so it can still be, quite effective. In this case, though, S205 isn't quite rushing out as fast as you can. Machine gun, then they're getting burned again by the Wasp. Machine gun there, almost pretty close there for CPU easy and the 285th Infantry. So far, stoically fighting against the British threat. Got the AC there moving in from the south. AC bar is standing for Associated Equipment Company, which was the company that made it. Fun fact about the AC Mark III is it was actually made from parts of old heavy tanks, or specifically infantry tanks, is what the British were at them for, like the not the Churchill, but the Valentine and the Matilda tank. It was probably the heaviest armoured car in the war. It was also one the Russians actually didn't want when they were offered it, because while it had a good engine, in many other ways it did not perform very well. It's sort of a little fun fact there. But right now you can see there's 205 gaining back the map again. He's got a lot of infantry and he's sort of been good use of the get part, because again CPUs, he really just chose the worst, I think, spot to attack through on the map. Again, this is just pretty much just not good to attack through. But there you go, AC supporting here at the Universal Carrier with the Wasp pushing back the Grenadiers there. CPU so is committing to another big push here, and he is still not taking up there. That actually is rather astounding. Despite his opponent, a lot of light vehicles up, which is actually giving CPU a very hard time. He is ardently refusing to take up, just even go for some counters like a Pack 40 or some 222s to deal with this. I wonder what the logic is. I mean, I suppose he could be planning for tier 3 rush, but usually then, go for some kind of mitigator like elite troops with panzer strikes, for the stormtroopers or mobile defense. But the problem is he's still some time off from the Pumas, so I'm not sure that's what he's planning here. So hard to say here what CPU is planning, but so far it went from being sort of initially easy, but again encountering that issue, which is the British can take very fast and actually have some very good light vehicles, so that way harass the Germans. So that is certainly quickly becoming a very sticky situation there for CPU easy. Very sticky. Mortified there that almost gets the Universal Carrier, that's pretty good. Then it's being pushed back here by section of the south, need to shoot those Grenadiers schnell. So what will CPU easy do to try and turn around this pretty hairy situation versus S205? Still no tech up. Getting a bit within Panzerfaust range, which could indicate that S205 might be getting overconfident for CPU. I do not think though that is CPU's strategy, basically try and induce hubris into his opponent. I mean, if he is, that's a incredibly arrogant strategy in a sense on its own right, the whole, alright guys, my plan is, and this has been approved by the Führer, but to exploit the hubris of our enemy, thusly invoking Nemesis, which will allow us to win. I mean, that is a pretty high-fetched meta strategy there, if ever enacted. But I'm assuming that's not what CPU Easy is planning. I'm assuming that is not what he's planning. He's going for 4th Grenadier Squad. It very much feels like a tier 3 rush, but again, he could be executing this a lot better by actually taking up now, and thus let's get up the support course, so that way, as soon as he has to fuel, he can then rush out something. And, pretty risky trying to bait it into the telemine, but that's what he's doing. He's trying to bait it into the telemine by going for the fuel point. He's also taking elsewhere out there. That's good, but yeah, he's Got nerves of steel, this CPU. He has absolute nerves of steel. I don't think I've ever seen anyone so cold-blooded before. I mean, again, if this was any other player, probably wouldn't be assuming, again, it's anyone not, you know, not this high rank, but with CPU, I can't imagine he's just cold-blooded. There you go. We can see S205 is paranoid. Again, you don't move your pioneers like that unless you sort of actually, you know, lay down telemines. The trick is, though, normally you place the mine there. But he's actually placed it right at the entrance, so you can see that S205 is just having none of it. He is having none of it. I mean, even if he doesn't set up a mine, he's pretty confident there is a mine, but he can't see it, so he just takes another path. I mean, hell, even if CPUs didn't have a mine there, again, he probably wouldn't have gone in there. Again, he doesn't know, but, you know, it's just paranoia. He's almost got the University carried down, they just need another Panzerfaust. The problem is he's a bit short on munitions. Pioneer's being pushed back there. And a bit, there we go, you can get the Panzer, then you might not need it though. Some of his German infantry will be getting quite the tan. There we go, finally got it. He's also got quite a bit of manpower. I mean, he really should be taking up there again. He's planning a tier 3 rush. There you go, he's taking up. So it looks like it is a tier 3 rush. Just again, as I've been saying, you know, he could be doing that a lot faster. Again, it tends to be sort of one of the slip-up points of a lot of tier 3 rushes. You know, they tend just to, you know, forget the actual, you have to tech up bit as well. Still, he's going for 5 gun DCs. He's going for a very heavy infantry build here, alongside the support weapons. And again, he did actually get the University Car, which will certainly relieve a lot of pressure. That was probably his biggest threats compared between it and the armoured car. Though the armoured car is very much also a threat. Though, CPU should probably have benefited from laying down more telemines when he could have here against S205 when he actually had sort of initial advantage, I think, somewhere. But again, just never quite ran around to it. Quick Panzerfaust there, damaging the engine of the AC Mark III. Overall, S205 has most of the map here against CPUs at the moment, and the 285th Infantry. Bunny's flanking with a Flammenwerfer. Alright, Jürgen, I want you to burn them. I want you to burn them good. Like your mother's cooking. You said you wouldn't talk about that? Ha, I lied. I'm German. Actually, I'm Austrian, which makes me an even bigger liar. Anyways, pioneers of the section are getting shot to bits. Up north, the Grenadiers setting out. Still no tier 3. Again, he needs to be fast about it. He needs to be fast about it. Again, you know, if you aren't sort of trying to, you know, get over tier 3 rush, train yourself in just teching fast. Just as soon as you have the resources, tech. Again, that's basically what CPUEC isn't doing. So again, he could be, by now actually be getting up a Stug, Osprey, maybe even a Panzer IV, but because again he's just not quite good at the whole tech rush aspect of it. Again, he's just not getting there. That's basically his problem at the moment. Again, he could probably pull it off, but again, like a lot of other players, they struggle with the actual rush element. Anyways, he's quickly securing territory again, advancing aggressive. I mean, he's aggressive though. He is aggressive. You understand that's also part of the strategy, but again, there are elements that could do with improvement. We got lightning war here for him. That'll probably be a lot of G43s on the Grenadiers then. Chance to push that advantage ahead. Hopefully he doesn't try and play straight for a Tiger. That would be pretty suicidal. And there you go. Brand section moving ahead. The S205 and the 11th Armoured has valiantly upgraded its section with machine guns. Attacking into the southern half or western corner of the village, but German resistance is proving stiff here already. At the outskirts, as mortar fire is providing ample coverage for the Grenadiers holding them up. Fortunately, though, for S205, there's no upgrades for the Grenadiers. Obviously, probably could inflict a lot more damage on the section, with only Car 90 kids, it's a bit limited what they can do. But we can see that CPU is getting a lot of the map. We can see that CPU is S205 now setting up to counter this kind of play here. Ooh. Good lord, almost got the entire section wiped there. That was pretty close. Taking fuel points there again. Mortar placement being slowly built up there for the British Army to support the advances against the dastardly Huns. Up here, Grenadiers reinforcing, healing. Still no tier 3. Come on, CPUs, you're floating 1,000 manpower, man. You're floating 1,000 manpower. Again, if you're planning a tier 3 rush, get it off properly, would you? Quick rifle grenade here. Again, I imagine it's partly just to attempt having to manage all of this infantry. Note he's actually scattering it across the map here, which to an extent will sort of you know, stretch his attention out there. In fact, he's going for the 6th squad. He needs to be doing something with the manpower, but again, he could be overall doing this a lot more efficiently than versus his opponent. He could be doing it a lot more efficiently. So S205, they're going for 6-pounder gun. Again, he's seeing a lot of infantry. He's probably expecting a tier 3 rush, and again, normally this would actually be too late, but again, because Semoisky, like a lot of pounder, like a high rank tier 3 rushes, again, he's just not very good at the rush part. It's funny how I sort of find myself pointing out that one so many times, you know. They try to rush, and for some reason, again, they just don't know how to rush. They know how to get a lot of, you know, tier 1 units, but the whole teching part apparently sort of eludes them. And he's got a lot of resources. He's pressed the button. There we go. I mean, hell, at this point, he could probably pull off a tier 4 rush if he wanted to. Not that recommended, but he could. And he'd probably still be faster than his tier 3 rush. That probably end up still somewhat being slow. By the way, he has to do it soon now. He has to do it soon. He has to be faster than this. He has to be a lot faster. Right here, though. Oh, he could have panzer fausted it. Punishing the S205 getting too close with his armoured car. A bit surprised he didn't, actually. He just retreated, and he's almost wrapped up, but he almost gets the section as well with its Bren guns. S205 now has pretty much every section upgraded with the Bren guns, which will certainly make it harder for CPUs to contest him. In particular because CPUs is not upgrading any of his 6 Grenadier squads. Also noting both sections are up there for S205, further making him a threat there to CPUs' infantry. That will certainly further increase the need for an actual upgrade on the Grenadiers, because upgraded 5-man sections with Bren guns is not something a 4-man Grenadier squad can easily sort of stand up to.
Supplies looking a bit squiffy. Line's been cut.
There's a good chance of a White maybe dropping a Bren gun here for S or CPUs to utilize. And yes, Bren gun dropped. But he lost another Grenadier squad over here, but an upgraded Grenadier section I think was a lot more worth it than a non-upgraded unit there. But there you go. Finally, 60 minutes of the game, he's getting up the support call. And again, he could have this up like several minutes sooner. Rushed out Stug, Osmond, or Panzer IV here versus S205. At this rate, the problem is his tech rush has completely failed. He's not ahead of the British player who can actually soon go out for Cromwell. So, in that regard, I do have to describe his CPU's tier 3 rush as pretty much non-functional. And again, train yourself on it, pay attention to it. It's probably the most important thing. It's just getting off that tech as fast as humanly possible. And again, it's so many high ranked players I still somehow manage to consistently just not succeed. Still a lot of damage going on here. Up north, Cornelius versus the section of the G4 defeats up close allows them to have the advantage there, in particular since the section is not in cover. Down here, going the southern fuel point again. And a Panzer IV on the way. Considering the timing, though, I'd probably recommend a Stug at this stage of Semoisky because he's likely going to get hit by Cromwell. And the Cromwell is still overall more cost efficient in fuel than the Panzer IV. Particularly if it's supported by an armoured car and a 6-pounder gun. And Semoisky's Panzer IV is on his own. So a Panzer IV here could prove to be a slightly unfortunate choice. Either way though, Panzerkampfwagen will be arriving to support the 285th Infantry Division, sent in by the nearby 21st Panzer Division to strengthen it up. In fact, by 1944-45 it was quite common for Panzer Division to parcel out their panzers to sort of support different elements, which will of course weaken the offensive firepower of the German army since it couldn't concentrate its tanks because they were sort of scattered across all the place, you know. So that's a sort of a little side detail there. Up here by the car point, needs to retreat. I can see what he's trying to do here, but it is risky since it's right next to the opponent's mortar emplacement. There you go. It's going to get the armoured car, finally silencing it. That is a definite victory for Semoisky. He's still got a lot of manpower. At this point, I'd probably recommend him getting up some fuel caches to help offset the fact he hasn't been having a lot of fuel for all time. Also, you should probably pull that Grenadier squad inside the house there for a bit of safety with that Bren gun. There you go, getting some good kills. Sap is able to pursue the Pioneers and the Panzer IV. Cromwell on the way there for S205 and the 11th Armoured Division. So again, despite trying the whole tier 3 rush again, it ultimately didn't quite work out very well there for Semoisky. Not to pick up with this Panzer IV. Still, Semoisky managing a reasonable harassment game there with his opponent, but does need more careful with his armour. And now I can go for a Stuk. I would certainly recommend this, but otherwise priority I think should be just building fuel caches to stop some of this manpower float and just quickly push for more armor. If you can at least do that, I think you could still have a chance to actually make something out of this tier 3 rush. Even if it sort of failed the actual rush part, it could probably still make proper solid tier 3 play versus his opponent. So if he can do that, I think there's a good chance still. We'll have to see here. S205 though is yet to go for Doctrine. We just hit the 20-minute mark, so that's usually again that's sort of called the not very good part here. You could easily done with something at this stage already. Big infantry push into the south. He's constantly, I think, trying to pressure his opponent's fuel point in the south. That's very good. A lot of players tend to neglect that, and I mean, despite everything else, I mean, I do have to commend CPU that ultimately, while he got stuck here, he's no longer just going into Stalingrad mode. He's actually pushing for the fuel points around the map, and that's actually very important. I mean, that's probably one of the highlights again of a better player. So despite his tier 3 rush failing tactically, yes, and strategically aware, he needs to hit the fuel points, so that's good. But he needs to pull back the Panzer IV there. There's a Cromwell right nearby, and that Panzer IV does not stand a chance in that condition. He should pull the bait back all the way to the base. But yeah, the question is, will he make it now? The Cromwell's pretty close and he catches up with it. The Panzer IV does. Oh, he doesn't. CPU, what are you doing? If you actually go for Stuka supported, again, fuel caches. And even another Panther 4 now would be pretty good versus S205. He just needs to do something with it. Oh, like Gonisa with G43s blasting at the Tommy's up close. Gonisa doing as well. Tommy's out and opening easy target. And without grenades, they have no ways of easily counting the Gonisa inside the house, or for that matter here. It's still sort of exposed. Panther 4, they're almost good to go. Double Pioneers on it. Certainly getting fighting all across the map though, and that's certainly nice. I mean, again, a lot of Semoisky fights tend to just be, Stalingrad matches, meat grinders across the center of the map with nothing really happening on the sides. But this map is actually categorized. That's not the word I'm sort of looking for, some of that, but basically exemplified. Yeah, exemplified more. I don't know. Overall, it just, it has more of the fighting happening on the sides rather than the center. It's less just a fight of wills and more just a fight of actually trying to outmaneuver the other bastard and catch the other bastard off guard, and that's good. Again, that's got more meat to it in terms of commentary because again it sort of involves more clever play there. Oh dear. Cromwell getting the advantage of the Panther 4 quickly flanking. Now it's also the speed advantage obviously. Panther 4 now can't get away. So right here and 6 Pentagon joining knocking out the Panther 4. So right there again, we'd sort of see that he should have waited for more armor before engaging the Cromwell. I mean, Cromwell basically is cheaper than the Panzer IV, but almost, not much more, but still basically better despite, being slightly cheaper. So that's kind of the problem there for the German army. And again, he should have rushed out of Stug and waited for another Panzer IV. He also should do something with that manpower. Again, fuel caches here would be excellent choices for CPU. I mean, build 1 or 2, that way sort of push ahead. And now we can see S205 is also being to float manpower. Get these set to choose a doctrine. Rushing towards the centre now. Grenadiers mortaring up there. Mines going down here. That's very good. That'll help sort of deal with enemy armour. Catch some of those Cromwells and blow them to bits. Bren section now run off as the Grenadiers advance. Then we got the other squad here with the Bren machine gun. Low mortar against here. Turning up a pretty solid position. There we go. We got a second Panzer IV here for CPU and the 285th Infantry Division. No, an infantry division would not have organically had any tanks in it. The closest they would have would, for example, been Stugs, and that had been by late 1944-45, where they're supposed to have Hetzers. But if they couldn't get Hetzers, the tank destroyer company, they would usually be given Stugs instead. As a fun fact. Also, they'd have to rely on stuff like Mardus. Almost got the section there. Another wipe here would certainly be helpful for CPU. So it would certainly slow down S205 here and the 11th Armoured Division. He's still floating. They're both now floating uncomfortably large amounts of manpower there, though.
Squad knocked out.
There again, they also have larger forces, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. But it's still something to be mindful of. But again, a fresh push into the south. You actually think got the section here, so that's pretty good. So that's another wipe against S205. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth, and again, just a lot more maneuver action. So that's great. So great. I mean, it's just more fun to comment on, It seems like there might have been a misclick down here in the south. Heck, when that happens myself. You click, and then apparently turns out you click like right next to the point on the mini map, and then you just sort of get into trouble. We need to be careful. They're going to need to pull them away and retreat. Still, he should be able to slow down his opponent fuel income, but again, he's floating almost 1,000 manpower again. Please build some fuel caches, CPUEC, please. Oh, now the Stuke to support your Panzerforce, that way gain an edge over the Cromwell tank. Oh, wipe the mortar. Bit of a loss there for CPUEC and the German army. Another section out there for S205. Forcing him to cover their pioneers moving up as well. Might be able to get the mortar there before they run off with it, but chances are looking a bit slim there. Yeah, gets away with the Granaten Werfer. Panzerforce to the rescue here though. Can he do it? Gets the Cromwell instead. Actually gets the mortar there. Small victory, but 6-pounder gun range to cover the Cromwell. CPU is almost loading 1,100 manpower. Again, you should really build some caches, CPUEC, or machine gun bunkers or something. Just spend that manpower. Spend that manpower. I mean, he's playing for a Tiger tank again. 2 fuel caches right now would certainly make it come a lot faster. S205 here though, going for a crocodile. By the looks of it, so again, both players now seem to be stuck sort of for endgame plays with big tanks. Both players could build fuel caches to speed it up, in particular against CPUs who could easily afford it. Again, why he doesn't do it is a bit beyond me. Up north here, they're going to do fighting with the section here. So doing some nasty damage against those dastardly Tommies. And up north here, victory point being secured for the fatherland. But the small, I don't know, woodcutter's encampment? Not entirely sure what to call this. So structurally, it's sort of a weird place, you know, there's some branches, some wood, some small shacks, and not a lot else. The woodcutter's encampment a place. Similarly, you got something like that here as well. Section of being suppressed, being sent the armor piercing rounds from the MG42. Bren section charges, or Bren squad charges for the fatherland. Panzerforce going to repairs. He's still going to need to, you know, build some caches. At least he's keeping up good pressure around the fuel point. I mean, I have to commend on that again. Tactically, he's doing pretty well, and he's also finally building a fuel cache. You know, get those up like ages ago, and that would also benefit the CPUs much more, you know, with a faster Tiger. But at least he's doing it. At least he's doing it. In that regard, S205 is actually now a problem. His opponent's actually now risking him to quickly get ahead of him in terms of armor. And that could be a big problem for S205 when he gets hit by a Tiger tank that could then quickly fill up with Stooks. And that's going to be the real big problem. If there's like a Tiger with 2 Stooks behind it, S205 and the 11th Armored will have a very hard time getting anywhere. Also, I do think you should upgrade his Grenadier Squad here with a light machine gun just to sort of further increase their firepower, because like the Grenadier Squad with a Bren gun and light machine gun is a big problem. They need to retreat now and they're getting shot to bits out in the open. Cromwell rolling ahead, they're very close to XNG2. Going for the cutoff point there. Almost got the Tiger tank though, and S205 is much farther off from any Churchill Crocodile because again he's just been so consistently harassed. And that guy again, while CPUC is strategically weaker tactically, and again just in terms of map control, though CPUC is actually pretty strong. That's certainly also something that's, you know, worth pointing out, you know, as his credit. Well, there you go, we got the Tiger out, so he's finally got it, and all of a sudden his manpower float, you know, isn't so big, whereas S205 now sort of starting the same pattern that CPUC was. Need to cover that with Panzer IV though, he's exposed to a lot of fire in that regard. S205 was actually pretty good in supporting his tank with a lot of anti-tank guns. Bit tricky sort of micromanaging wise sort of keep track of, but I mean if you can get it to work, it can make it very difficult for your opponent to just deal with this without anti-tank guns. And in that regard, there's a bit of a flaw now in CPU's strategy. I mean he doesn't have any anti-tank guns himself, so any, you know, anti-vehicle effort he has is actually going to be easy to target for the anti-tank guns. So that's a bit risky there for CPU's, and an interesting counter there by 205. Need to treat the mortar that's way too close to the British enemy mortars. I mean, once the mortar emplacement gets nerfed with the full balance patch, sure, probably won't be able to cover as much, but you know, until then, be careful. Nice push down the target. He's shifting everything towards the center, though. Right here, he's making a bit of a mistake. He's leaving his two anti-tank guns isolated on that small island. In theory, he could get caught by some infantry and destroyed, you know. So it's not very good there for S205. That is not very good. Luckily, though, CPU's isn't pulling in a lot of infantry starting to attack there, but this is nonetheless not very sound. Unit wipe there, target attacking. Soon calling the Crocodile. We got the Panther running in support as well. 6 pellet guns finally moving in to do something. Tiger ends up killing some of its own. Panther on the front from the anti-tank stand. He's likely to risk losing it there. Yep. Ooh, that was lucky though. He actually didn't lose it. He did not lose it. Really lucky. Gonna just continue to fight here around the cutoff point. Again, he's really intent on it, but again, it is a very risky thing to do right under the mortar emplacements. Arc of fire. Back here, he can soon go for the Stug. He could also build more caches. Also needs to fix up his Panzer IV pretty schnell. S205 though continues to extend his anti-tank guns. I mean, he were to concentrate him again, just charge after them. He probably could deal with him, particularly because he does have tactical movement, which could allow him to just outmaneuver his opponent, you know, in terms of reaction speed fast. But there you go. S205 can finally call in a Crocodile, flame for a tank. Tiger Lancer got it in the well, tank. Shots keep bouncing off the 100mm thick armor. Tiger misses. Panther is good to go, and there we go. We got the Crocodile rolling ahead here for S205 and the 11th Armored Division, ready to pierce the German lines like a spear aimed at the height of the Reich. Height of the Reich.
Well done. We have forced the enemy down to 200 points.
There you go. 6 pellet guns going straight for the Tiger tank. Panther though easily dealing with some of the flanking infantry elements. Most of his infantry is back at base, needs to reinforce, heal it, rush it ahead, and then try to catch his opponents off guard here with a tactical movement. If he can do that again, just quickly sort of catch him off guard with the infantry, rush it in, destroy some of his infantry elements there, or split out the anti-tank guns, he could win here. But if you can't deal with him, that could very well be a win for S205. So it's going to suddenly come down to all of this very quickly.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our
Tiger rolling back, center collapsing under the weight of the Crocodile, which, well, he can't really stop because he got nothing nearby. Got a Stug on the way though for CPUs, that's good to see finally. Das ist gut, less good for S205. More pressure on the flank there, grabbing points. Sehr gut, sehr gut. Crocodile lurches through the streets of Semoisky like a predator that spews flame. And tea. Hot tea. And this goes the need to retreat. Very quickly. Almost wiped. Fun fact, the reason the Crocodile is so lethal in game is because apparently they gave it a second flamethrower though, which cannot be seen, which then does extra damage. That'll be fixed in the balance patch there. In fact, it's the reason why we know it, because they mention it in the balance notes. Like the flamethrowers just have apparently an extra invisible flamethrower that just does a lot of extra damage. I'm not entirely sure why they thought that was necessary. Well, Tiger moving ahead there a bit on its own. Need to be careful. Again, he knows his opponent's got a lot of anti-tank supporting it, so really risky move there. And again, just taking head on into it, so trying to flank his opponent. Further strikes was a bit weak there. We got Sappers with Piets moving ahead there, section up to cover. Stug not quite in support range, but again, it's going to be difficult because the anti-tank gun's also a great counter for the Stug. Tiger all of a sudden very isolated, low on health. Needs to try and get it back to base, but it's quickly turning up here for CPU Easy and the 85th Infantry Division. 285th, actually, not 85th, but 285th. There goes Stug right in front of everything. Looks like CPU Easy, I think, is just falling apart here. It's just too much for him to manage. Everything is just not going his way now. He's trying to escape with the Stug. The problem is that now means the Tiger can't escape itself. And still end up losing the Stug. He still ended up losing it. Cooking out a lot of steam too. Tiger there, trying to deal with the Cromwell. Machine gun team are lost. Got veterans one for the Tiger tank. His Panzer IV there. Oh dear, that's not going to end up well, I think. Unless he maybe like blitzes and gets behind it. There's a theoretical chance of the blitzkrieg he pulls off. But it still requires the support from the Tiger and other elements. The grenades are there, but without enough much else, they're pretty dead as well. Grenadiers got wiped. Complete disaster here for CPUC. Tiger finally on the move, but by now it's too late. The Panther Wolf's been fighting for too long on its own, and there goes down. Got both anti-tank guns. Got both of them. But again, his Tiger is now completely isolated, without any support, low on health, completely botched assault there, and with that, the Tiger is gone, and most of CPUC's force. There you go, game over, GG. A victory for the 11th Armoured, breaking through the German line to 285th, forced to fall back, and CPUC were called to German headquarters to explain how on earth could he fail to Tier 3 rush. Again, like so many other high-ranked players. Again, it's just one of those sort of fun things, you know. German Wehrmacht players will try to Tier 3 rush, and they will, as a rule of thumb, fail because they just don't get, you know, the whole rush means, you know, you have to be fast about it. You know, you gotta go fast. And that's the motto of Sega. And, you know, so do it properly if you gotta do it. Anyways, overall, I mean, CPU's again, tactically very strong. Good control of the map there, but again, strategically, he just couldn't carry it. You know, in that sense, that's the problem. Tactically very strong, but again, strategically he wasn't. And S205 there, which is strategically stronger and tactically competent enough not to get crushed tactically there. Just sort of push back, and over long game, just crush CPUC, who then, of course, was increasingly feeling the stress, at which point his tactics fell apart, and that completely devastated him. So again, you know, overall, learn from him because I played the map, which was really good. But, you know, again, if you are planning for Tier 3 rush, by Jove, do be sure to do it fast. Again, rush. Again, emphasis on rush it. Again, that's basically what CPUC failed to do. Otherwise, she's just gone for Tier 2, gone for some elements there, and that was the push load for Tier 3. I mean, hell, you can actually end up, you know, still being faster than what he was if you just, you know, supported it with Tier units. So, there are definitely some issues there felt by CPUC. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay on, apart some feedback in the comment section. And if you want to send a replay on, links are in the video description. Feel free to provide me, you know, with it, but, you know, send me details as to where on the ranks, a bit of the game, who you are in the match, and so on. I mean, a lot of people just send me a replay with absolutely no details, and I'm not going to, you know, put my time into that. You know, I already got a lot of replays and such to check, so, you know, the less time I have to spend, you know, trying to figure out anything, the better. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match, and see you all tomorrow for another episode. Cheers!